A very good morning to my dear 10th standard students. Today we'll begin with the political science. Let us start with the first chapter, that is, working of the Constitution. Before we start with the chapter, let us understand what is Constitution. Children, before we study the definition of Constitution, I would like to ask you a simple question. Do you think rules are important? I'm very sure you might be telling me, yes, miss, very important. That is why I am going to start this chapter by understanding why rules and laws are important. The rules and laws help us to go ahead with everything smoothly. If there are no rules and there are no laws, people will do whatever they want and it will result into chaos. This is what is constitution. Constitution is a set of rules and principles according to which our country is formed or governed. The principles to which all people in our country can agree upon on the basis of the way in which they want the country to be governed. So, these are the rules which are agreed upon by the people of that country. A very good question that comes into my mind is, why do we require a constitution? We require a constitution because it defines and limits the power of the government. When you make a rule and when you pass any rule, you know what are your limitations. Similarly, the government should also know that what are its limitations and how many powers the government has in their hand. It also defines the powers and functions of the various organs of the government. The various organs, such as the state government, the local government, the central government, each and every one should know that their functions and their duties towards the country. It defines the rights of the citizens and their relationship with the government. The Constitution helps us to know about our rights, our fundamental laws, and even we come to know what is our relationship with the government. And that is why Constitution is required by our country. Now let us study when was our Constitution formed, or let us go back to the history. Our Constitution came into force on 26th of January 1950. After our Constitution came into force, what did the government do? The government since then the government is working in accordance with the principle of the Constitution. So, whatever principle is written in the Constitution, the ruling government works accordingly. Now, let us do a detail about the chapter. What are we going to learn in this chapter? We are going to learn about the nature of Indian democracy. We are going to learn the changes in its political process. And we are also going to learn the steps taken by the government to establish social justice and equality in the country. Throughout the chapter, we are going to focus on three areas. What are they? The first one, democracy. The second one, social justice. And the third one, our judicial system. Democracy. What is democracy? Abraham Lincoln has said, that democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This is very much, this we all know, that democracy is of the people. That is, the people who are there in the government, they are from us, by the people. It is we who elect them, and for the people. Once they form the government, they are working for us. The first thing which we are going to learn in democracy is political maturity. The word itself tells you that maturity about something, maturity about the political process of the country. Now, the first point in this is that maturity of the people is a must. Why do you think that maturity is important? Because if the people are matured enough, their mind will be broad-minded people, and they are going to look for the development of the country. They will not be narrow-minded and only, surrounded by the discrimination or with the superstition and all the evil practices which are present in the society. But if people are matured, what are they going to do? They are going to question whom? The government. The government will also be questioned by the people. The government will do its work accordingly. Why? Because the government is aware that if we do something wrong, the people of our country are matured enough. They'll come to know and they are going to question us. So what answers we will give them? And that is why maturity is important, because it makes the government alert. People have direct representation in the parliament. Yes, the people who are there in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, who are they? They are common people, and they are there in the parliament. That means direct representative. Holding free and fair elections at regular intervals. If the people are matured, they are able to be a part of the parliament. If the people are matured, they will be able to know the importance of election. And with the help of all these things, we will be able to have a successful democracy in our country. And if the people are matured, the participation of the people is going to increase in the political process and even in the political participation, which will give us successful democracy. That is what we want, the democracy in the country to achieve its goal. We move on to learn about right to vote. It is a right for the adults. Now, pay attention to the right to vote. We are going back again to the history. We start from the pre-independence period. In the pre-independence period, several provisions restricted the right to vote. There were many provisions which were not allowing the people to give vote. So what happened? After independence, all such provisions were cancelled, and Indian Constitution guaranteed adult suffrage by giving the right to vote equally to both men and women. And when were the people able to vote? They were able to vote above the age of 21 years. But then again a change took place. What was that? The voting age was reduced from 21, it became to 18. Now this proved to be a profit, a boon to democracy. Let us see how was that. Because the age limit was reduced from 21 to 18, it gave opportunity of political participation to young generation in India. Many young voters started coming up, and India became largest democracy in the world. Why we became largest democracy in the world? Because India has the larger number of voters compared to any other democratic nation. This change is not only quantitative but it was also qualitative. How was it? New political parties started emerging with the active support of young voters. Now we study the decentralization of power, that is, decentralization of democracy. Before you understand what is decentralization of democracy, let us understand its meaning. Decentralization of power is important in democratic government. Decentralization of democracy means decentralization of power, which means distribution of power. Distribution of power. How must be the power distributed? It must be distributed evenly. It must be distributed evenly. All the people who are there in the government, their power should be equally distributed. Now, for example, I'll give you one example in this. Imagine that we are in the class and I am electing four monitors. Okay, I have elected four monitors of four rows. Row A row, B row, C row, and D row. All these four monitors, I am giving them different jobs. The first one will see the cleanliness. The second one will see the will be the in charge of the board. The third one will be taking care of the homework given by the teachers, and the fourth one will see about the discipline. Now, all these four monitors, the powers are evenly distributed among them. I cannot say that the monitor who is in charge of discipline is more important and the monitor who is in charge of cleanliness is less important. No. Whatever, all the four monitors are equal in front of me, and that is why the power which I will hand over to them is equal. Understood? Same way applies to the power distributed by the constitution to the government. All the people who are there in the government, take example of the health minister, the finance minister, the education minister, whatever minister, so many duties, so many posts, everyone has equal amount of power. Now, if the power is equally distributed, what is its important? It is going to control the misuse of power and also create opportunity for common man for political participation. Now, if the power is equally distributed, no one is going to misuse its power because all are same. And the second one is it will create an opportunity for common man for political participation. Now, I want to explain with the help of again with with the class example. Now, for example, the cleanliness monitor whom I had appointed is not doing its work properly. So what am I going to do? I will replace that monitor. Now who will take its place? One of the member of that row. So same way it is now we are talking in the same way in the government also. If one kind of minister or one person is not doing the work, what is going to happen? Its post will be replaced by someone else. So that is why everyone is alert and everyone knows that if I misuse the power, I will be at fault, and if I don't do my work properly, again I am going to leave the post. So after independence, several attempts were taken by the government of our country to have a democratic decentralization in the country. Did you understand, children, decentralization of power? It means whatever power is being given by the constitution to the government, it has to be evenly distributed among everyone. Now we move on to the very important thing, that is right to information, RTI, which was been established in the year 2005. Now what are the benefits of right to info? What is right to information? Right to information means we have the right to know each and everything about the process of the government. That is right to vote. If you feel that something is going wrong, you can question the government. You can ask them to give an answer. You can, if you want to know about, if you want to know something about the government policies or the government laws, whatever you want to know, you have the right. That is right to information. Now, why was this law passed? Let us say. It was passed because it was having a lot of benefits. Let us see the benefits one by one. The first benefit was that the government of India gave the right to information to the citizen of India to ensure transparency. Means whatever the government is doing, now everything is transparent. We can see what activities the government is doing. It is transparent to the common man. And it also ensures accountability, responsibility. The government now is responsible for what work he does. Okay, so that is transparency and accountability are the hallmarks of good governance. They are the hallmarks of good governance. In order to have a good running of the government, they know that they have to be transparent and they have to be responsible for what they are doing. Then what else? It also helped in strengthening democracy and building trust. Now when you know what the government is doing, what is happening, the relation between the common man and the government is increasing, is becoming strong, and you have a trust on that person because you are aware of what all things that person is doing. Same way it applies to the government policy also. If we know about the policies of the government, the relation between the common man and the government increases, it becomes strong, and we start having trust on them, which results in communication between citizen and the government. As again I say, the government become more transparent. We know the policies and the laws which they are doing, and it reduce the element of secrecy, anything to hide. The chances of hiding anything is reduced now. Why? Because everything is transparent, you can see clearly. So the element of secrecy is reducing day by day. All these things have been achieved because of right to information, and that is why I say that every man wants to know about the policies of the government, he can do it because we have the right given by the constitution in the year 2005, that is RTI, right to information. Students, this is what about democracy. That is the first area of our chapter. In the next class, we will be studying about the second and the third one, that is social justice and equality, and the last one is the judicial system of the country. I hope you have understood the first topic, that is democracy. If you have any kind of doubt, please write it down in your book. Inshallah, when we meet in the class, I will be clearing all your doubts. Thank you.